Just getting my groove on before we get started.
Don't complain about finance. I know your daddy weren't a real man.
This is Cleo Soul. Her voice is like butter. I love her. But I'm going to stop now because I don't want to get in copyright trouble. That's happened to me. That's happened to me. I do not want to get in trouble with copyrights. Welcome to the Enough is Enough Mistress Class for the Complete Package Woman. I am your host, Stacey Herrera. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. If you are a repeat offender, thank you. I expect this to run about an hour, so maybe a little bit less. I'm going to mind your time. I don't want to take up too much of your space. I invite you to turn off the notifications on your cell phone, maybe put it on airplane mode so that you can be as present as you possibly can for this experience. If you can't be present right now, no problem. You are welcome to tune in later. This is a recording. You can do it your way. I invite you, if you feel so inclined, to take notes if you want to, or you can listen or watch in bite-sized chunks and come back as you need to. You can do it your way. This is your world. I'm just in it. So do however you want to do it. Let's see. What else? That's it. Yeah, let's dive in. I am going to switch over to the slides, and you're not going to see me for the majority of the class. You won't be able to see my beautiful face, but I promise to pop back in at the end. So I'm going to switch over to presentation mode now. I'm going to share my screen, and then we are going to get started. Here we go. All right. So enough is enough. Let me just take a sip of wine. I'm ready. I'm really comfortable. I got my wine here. I am naked. I didn't put on clothes, but I did put on lipstick for you all because I love you like that. So anyways, let's get started. Okay, so enough is enough. As I stated before, this is a mistress class for the complete package woman. And if you don't know me, my name is Stacey Herrera, and I am the creator of the Sensuality Project. I do women's work. My mission is to help women explore their sensuality, enhance intimacy, and create deliciously fulfilling relationships. Now, as you can see, this next paragraph has a typo in it. I left it like that on purpose. I love cucumbers and strolls by the Pacific Ocean. That is, I live near the Pacific Ocean. My favorite color is green in most colors, and that includes money. My favorite scent is clean laundry. And I love the feel of cotton, and I love the feel of a man's breath on the back of my neck. I've also been having a love affair with jalapenos for years simply because I love the way they feel in my mouth. I live and breathe sensuality. I love using the tools that came with this beautiful, voluptuous body because I am a full figured woman, a proud, full figured woman. And I love using the tools that came with my body to navigate this whole earth situation. It's a beautiful thing. Um, just to go back to that typo, I left it because although I am a writer, so I hate typos. Like they are the bane of my existence and they unhinge me. Like I hate when I've sent a newsletter or published an article and I see a typo because like with a newsletter, I can't take it back. I can't like go back into the email and resend it. Well, I could, but that would be a waste of time. So they get on my nerves is what I'm saying, but done is better than perfect. So even when I saw this typo, and there are others in this presentation, by the way, even when I saw the typos, I left them. I left them because it's so easy to never get finished or to never hit send as long as you're trying to make sure that it's perfect. Hence the reason we're here to talk about enoughness and not enoughness, right? So let's get to it. Today, we're going to be exploring enoughness. Hello. We're going to be exploring enoughness. Even more than that, we're going to be talking about not enoughness. And it's a really important topic. It's a really important topic. So why am I talking about enoughness today? The reason that I decided to do this is because there's been a lot. I feel like I've had like an insight look into so many women in the past several months and their struggle with feeling good enough. And a lot of these women are what I would call the complete package woman. And the complete package woman is being called to rise right now. But she's also struggling to take up space. Her voice is cracking, her knees are shaking, and she's having a hard time standing her ground. So, what is the complete package woman? I'm glad you asked. The complete package woman is she's a mother, she's a lover, she's a friend. She handles her business, she gets shit done. She is reliable and she does all the things. Sometimes she's wearing so many hats that she gets overwhelmed. She often plays roles that men sometimes play. So she's sometimes the provider in her household, whether she's partnered or not. She is a caretaker. She works. She is a friend, and she is a lover. She is also the one that people turn to when they're going through shit. Like, people lean on her, people respect her. She is the woman. She's the kind of woman that when you see her, you think like, oh, she's got her shit together. Like, she's that woman. And even though that's the experience, or that's how people are perceiving her, it doesn't mean that she's not having a hard time. She's struggling like the rest of us. Like, she too, though, those women that when you look at them, you're like, gosh, like, she's got all the time in the world, or she's able to get shit done. How come I can't get shit done? Even those women they're having the same struggles that you're having. Even though we look at those women and think like they got all of their shit together, they're the complete package. They got money and they got power, and men want them, or women want them. Like, attracting a partner isn't hard for them. All of the stories that we put on other people, all of that shit, all of that woman is dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. She's feeling the same way that you're feeling. She is struggling with her enoughness just like you. So why is she struggling? Why are we all struggling? Why are we all struggling? We are struggling because of the enoughness myth. We are struggling because we don't feel good enough. We are struggling because we don't feel worthy. So over the course of the next hour, I am going to, or maybe less than an hour, I'm going to debunk the worthiness myth. I'm also going to tell you the most dangerous question you can ask yourself. And I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself this question more than one time. I'm also going to explore why not enoughness hits you where it hurts in your purse. Your pocketbook is wounded every time you don't feel good enough. And I'm also going to talk about I'm going to share with you the most potent prescription for enoughness that money can't buy. How about that? So, what is the worthiness myth anyway? The worthiness myth is the idea that you have to earn the right to be loved by doing more, being more, or having more. I call bullshit. And here's the kicker: if you don't believe that you're worthy, you'll always find proof to support that belief. The evidence will be everywhere. So where does that shit even start? Where does that shit even start? Where did you get the idea that you weren't good enough? Like, where did that come from? First off, you arrived a blank canvas, such as this one. Isn't it beautiful? So you arrived a blank canvas, free from stories, free from limitations. You didn't think less of yourself or others. You didn't have fears or ideas of lack. You weren't worried about falling or coming up short. You never questioned your own value, not at first. Why would you? You come here as a baby, and as far as you know, like, in your experience, no matter what challenges you arrived with, you didn't perceive them as challenges, right? Like, you came whole, you came complete, you came ready for this human experience. But if you came here feeling good enough, what the hell happened? What the hell happened? You crafted your not enough story from your environment. When you arrived here, you had one goal, and that goal was to experience love so that you could feel like you belong. That's what we all want. You want it to be seen, you want it to be heard, you want it to be loved, because when you had those experiences, you felt like you belonged. We all want to feel like we're a part of the whole. So ideally, you would have experienced all of these things through your interaction with the people in your immediate orbit. But what happens when the people in your orbit have developed dysfunctional habits and patterns? What if your mom is unhappy or she's struggling in her relationship with your father? What if your dad is an alcoholic and he's dealing with his own story from his childhood? What if your parents are struggling to make ends meet, so they're stressed out about money all the time, and as a consequence, they're just disconnected emotionally? What happens to you when you are in an environment with people that are just busy adulting? Like they didn't realize that their behavior was making you feel some kind of way. They had no idea that as a result of the way that they were navigating this whole life thing, that you were beginning to feel like you had to do something to make them feel better. You needed to do something so that they could see, hear, and love you. They had no idea that that's the messaging that you were getting, because if you could just be a little bit more fill in the blank, a little bit more lovable, maybe a little more quiet, maybe a little more good, or maybe your story was, maybe if I could just be a little less talkative, look, that was my story, a little less needy, a little less energetic. Maybe if you could be a little more or a little less, maybe they could just act like they love you, right? Of course, they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't. The adults in your environment, they had their own not enough story, and their story was crafted based on the environment that they were exposed to when they arrived here too. And all of that was driving their behavior. But as a child, you didn't know. Like you had no idea that what they were going through and how they were presenting themselves to you, you had no idea that it had nothing to do with you. You couldn't discern the difference between their shit and your shit. How could you? You didn't know. So all you knew is that your primary caregiver, whether that was your mom or your dad or someone else, all you knew is that when they were happy, then you could be happy. And like most kids, all you wanted was a little bit of peace so that love could flow freely, so that you could feel good enough. So to break things down even further, that not enough story is driven by a single question, which is the most dangerous question that you will ever ask yourself. And that is, what's wrong with me? I know you've asked yourself that question. I know you've asked yourself that question. I've never met someone who didn't. I've never met a single person who didn't ask themselves at one point or at various points, what's wrong with me? Sometimes we rephrase the question now because the ego is slick as fuck. Sometimes we rephrase it and just to make ourselves feel empowered, and we say stuff like, he can't handle my realness, or haters gonna hate. Like people always hating on me. They want what I have. Or I'm too deep. Look, I'm too deep. People can't connect with me because I'm just too deep. But on the other side of those statements is the same question. What's wrong with me? Because the ego is just so clever that it will disguise not enoughness as too muchness. But too muchness is on the not enough continuum. This is the not enough continuum. So on the low scale, you've got not enough. And on the other scale, you've got too much. Either way, they both come from very low vibe energies. But in the middle, if we can get there, and some days are good and some days not so much, right? If we can get there in the middle of self acceptance, that's the sweet spot. That's where we kind of want to hang out. That's where we want to be as often as we possibly can. Because, like for me, my not enoughness shows up as too much. And as a child, I was told fairly regularly that I talk too much. Um, but this is what I know for sure: we're the only species of animal that suffers from not enoughness, simply because our big, beautiful brains allow us to override our own biology. And that means that we can listen and absorb the messaging from the people around us, even when what they're saying is not about us, which it never is, because projection is real. Projection is super real. And as humans, we language everything through the lens of our own experience. So even when someone is saying something directly to you, it's often not about you. So let me share a little story with you. So A while ago, I was having a conversation with a woman, and she was a fairly new mom. Her baby was a toddler, so I think he might have been one, and she was already pregnant with her second child. So he was like 1.5, and she was pregnant with her second baby. And she is, by all accounts, a complete package woman. She's got a great job. She's got a supportive partner. They own a home already, and they handle their business. They're responsible, 30 somethings, adults, and doing the damn thing. So she was telling me about her sister who's older than her, and her sister has a couple of daughters, and her daughters are older, so they're already school aged. And her sister had decided that she wanted to get a different job and to start a career, one that she had always wanted to do. And it was going to take some of her energy and attention away from, her daughters. She was going to be working more, and that meant that, based on the hours, that meant that she wasn't going to be available to pick up her children from school like she normally would. Now keep in mind, her sister is married, and her husband is very supportive and helps, so she's partnered with somebody that is co-parenting with her. But because she was going to be taking on this new job, and that meant that she was going to not be able to do all of the things anymore, her sister, the woman that was telling me this story, felt some kind of way. She felt like she was being irresponsible as a mom. She felt like it was just not right that her sister should wait until her daughters were older before she took on this new job, like, because her daughters are at the age where they need her, and all of this stuff. But I recognized very early on in the conversation that even though she was talking about her sister, she wasn't talking about her sister. The real thing that was bothering her is that she is a working mom, and again, she has a supportive partner also, and a hugely supportive network of family members to help her and her partner with these children. So she's got a really good support system. But even despite the fact that she is fully supported and she's doing all the things, there was a part of her that she had this huge mommy guilt going, where she didn't feel like she could do all the things. And she felt like, even though she had this super strong support system around her to help her in raising her children, she still felt like she needed to be the one doing all the things, and she needed to keep all the balls in the air. And so she had a big judgment around other moms, simply because she was judging herself so harshly. So the reason I'm sharing that story is because if you had been a fly on the wall and you heard the story, you would have really been convinced that she was feeling some kind of way about her sister's career choice. But really, she was feeling some kind of way because, even though she waited until she was, settled into a career and bought a house and all that stuff, she waited until all of those ducks were in a row before she decided to start her own family. But even though she did it the right way, and I'm using air quotes because there is no right way, only your way. But even though she did it the, supposed right way, she was still struggling with the guilt of not being able to be all of the things to her children. So she was talking about her sister, but it wasn't about her sister. It's never about you. So when someone is talking about you, even when they're looking you square in the eye, whatever they're saying, if it's critical or judgmental, it almost never is about you. Even when they're complimenting you, if I'm honest, even when someone's giving you a compliment, it's not about you. Because sometimes a compliment, someone could look at you and say, "Oh my God, I love your hair." But sometimes what they really mean is, "I really need to get my own hair done." So nothing's ever about you. Sorry to bust your bubble if you've been walking around taking ownership of how other people feel. It is not yours. Those things don't belong to you, so you can just free yourself up from that burden, because sometimes it's burdening to take on someone else's opinions and judgments of ourselves. So let yourself off the hook. It's not about you. So why does not enoughness hit where it hurts? So this is a biggie. This is a real biggie. This is a biggie because, and where is it that it hurts? Not enoughness hits you in your purse. And the reason it hits you in your purse is because if you truly believed you were enough, then you would always have enough. I'm going to just let you sit with that because I know that you weren't ready. I know you wasn't ready. If you truly believed that you were enough, you would always have enough. Now, don't be confused. Don't be confused about what enough is because there is no set enoughness amount. It varies from person to person. What's enough for me may not be enough for you. So don't get it twisted. Just because I'm saying that if you believed you were enough, you would always have enough. That doesn't mean that you would be a millionaire. I'm not saying that. This is not a slick way of sneaking in the law of attraction. Like like it isn't, but your perception of your experience determines the experience you have, not what is actually happened, but how you perceive what is happening. So my question to you is, where are you perceiving lack? And what's the story that's creating that reality? Again, I am not saying that you're not experiencing the said reality, but the choices that you made brought you here, and those choices were based on your not enough story. So you literally birthed this experience into being by way of the story you've been telling yourself for so long. It's all you. It's on you. Like we got to take accountability for the enoughness story. Now, again, the enoughness story originated in your environment, but you continue to perpetuate it. When you're younger, you don't know any better. But when you get to this age, you know better. You know the lack story. You know how shitty it makes you feel. So how do you get back to wholeness when you've been hanging out in this space of, lack or perceived lack? Because there's really never anything lacking. Abundance is always present. Now, what you have an abundance of is the variable. But you always have an abundance. If you believe that you're not good enough, then you will have an abundance of not enoughness. That means that you'll have an abundance of no money. If you believe you are enough, then you'll have an abundance of money. And that doesn't mean that you'll be like money will be raining on you. It don't mean that everything you need will always be covered. Now, it doesn't guarantee the way that the money will arrive, but the point I'm making is your perception, it creates your experience. And that's without exception. So this is what I know for sure. You're enough because you're here. You're enough because you're here. And the only way to get back to wholeness is to experience the opposite. And that's the reason that you're having this story. Because while the not enough story is like kryptonite to you, it's also the key to your wholeness because you're living this story as a means to an end. The end being recognizing the truth of your worthiness. You are not worthy when, you are worthy now. You are worthy because you're here and because it's always been true. So, do you know the probability of materializing in human form? Good, because I don't know either. I don't know either, but I bet you it's a hard gamble, right? I bet you it's like winning the lottery. It has to be hard to get it on this earth thing. But in all seriousness, you have the root cause for what's driving your not enough story. You have to get to it. You have to get to it so you can eliminate that shit. And let's be honest, you probably have several stories. I have several stories. For example, you may not feel pretty enough, or maybe you don't feel like you have enough money or enough friends or enough love. We all have like several beliefs that are running in the background of our unconscious mind, creating story after story of not enoughness. So you probably got more than one. I have several. Most of us have several. Um, but that's why we do the work. That's why we do the work. So here's a great exercise. And there's a quote: we all have these beliefs running in the background of our unconscious mind, creating story after story of not enoughness. So here's an exercise that will help you to get down to the root why of what you're experiencing in terms of your not enough story. So this is called the 5 whys, and this exercise was created by Sakichi Toyota, and that's as in the inventor and founder of Toyota Industries. The D was changed to a T for the company. But anyway, the premise of the exercise is simple. It's to drill down to the root cause of any problem by asking why. So it's really simple. If you want to try it with me right now, grab a piece of paper. And the first thing you're going to do is write down what your not enough story is. So let's go to mine. My not enough story, well, one of them is I don't have enough money to support myself. And this was a not enough story that I held on to for dear life last year. So the not enough story was I don't have enough money to support myself. Why? Because my business isn't making any money. It wasn't making any money last year. Why wasn't my business making any money? Because I hadn't received any new clients. Why hadn't I received any new clients? Because women don't think that this work is valuable. Why do I think that women don't think this work is valuable? Because I haven't clearly defined my offerings and what I do. And if I'm honest, I still need to update my website. Like, seriously, even though I know why, I still haven't done it. So, because why? It debunks the not enough story, doesn't it? So, why haven't I clearly defined my offerings? Because I was afraid to get clear. And the reason, and this is where the root why comes in, the reason I was afraid to get clear was because if I got clear, I might succeed. See, I'm not afraid of failing. That doesn't frighten me. In fact, it seems like an impossibility if I'm honest. I'm not at all afraid of failing, but succeeding scares the shit out of me. Scares the shit out of me because the only thing scarier than not getting what you want, getting what you want. Getting what you want is scary. It's like joy. Like, we don't like to feel unhappy and we don't like to feel uncomfortable, but the only thing that scares us more than discomfort is feeling really good. And part of it is because we already know how to feel really bad. We already know how to do that. So, feeling really good is scary as shit for us. And again, just based on my own 5 why example here, you can see that we cannot have enough until we believe that we are enough. Last year was a shitty year for me financially. It was terrible. But this is the thing, even though I wasn't generating the income through my business, all my needs were met. All my needs were met. And because I was able to be aware of the fact that even though I wasn't making money hand over fist like I would have liked to, I never ran out. I always had enough. And so it wasn't that not enough was a possibility. It was that I had to see it, I had to acknowledge it, and I had to accept it because I always had enough, never ran out, even though based on, look, it's right here. This is an absolutely true story. I thought I didn't have enough money to support myself, but I've been fully supported, still eating good cheese. Like that's my measure of whether I'm broke or not. Like if can I eat good cheese? Like can I eat good cheese? Like anybody who knows me has heard me say that. Like I'm still eating good cheese and good chocolate, and that's how I know I got enough. So even though my business didn't do as well as I had projected it to do, I had more than enough, didn't skip a beat, never ate cheap cheese, and had a really phenomenal year anyway. So it wasn't a matter of whether I had enough, it was whether or not I believed I had enough. And I did, and I always have. And I'm willing to bet you've got the same story. So I invite you, if you're doing the 5 why exercise right now, you can pause this so that you can get to the root of it. You probably will have to do it more than one time with different stories, again, because most of us have more than one not enough story running in the background. And so you can do it, and it doesn't have to just be about not enoughness. You can actually use this to problem solve. Like if something is happening, so maybe something's not working and you can't figure out why it's not working, you can use the 5 whys to drill down to just about anything. In fact, at Toyota still uses the 5 whys in their business model. So like if they are creating a car, or maybe there's a system in a car that isn't working, they drill down the 5 whys to help them resolve issues. So it's very effective. You can kind of put it into any situation to help you get down to the bottom of things. So you're welcome. You're welcome. And big solid to Sakichi Toyota for inventing this. Is great. It's very useful. So, the most potent prescription for enoughness is sisterhood. I bet you didn't see that coming. The reason that sisterhood is so important is because we're human beings and we really are an individuated, a perceived individuated example of the whole. We are not separate from one another. We are not separate from our environment. We are not separate from the whole. So while you don't need another singular person to complete you, that fucking Jerry Maguire had it all wrong. If you don't need a singular person to complete you, but you cannot experience wholeness on an island. And that's why sisterhood is important. The collective is complete. The earth isn't lacking. We're part of the earth. The earth isn't lacking. The earth is able to feed itself. It's able to quench its own thirst. It's able to replenish and grow itself back. Like the earth isn't lacking anything. And we know for sure that we are made up of the same elements. Our body contains all of the elements in the universe. It is earth because we are solid. We are materialized in solid form or seemingly solid form, right? Like we've got flesh and bones. Like that's the part of us that's earth. We have fire. We resonate at 98.6 degrees. That's freaking hot because we have fire within us. We have water. Our blood is really just a bunch of cells floating in a sea of liquid. In addition to that, there is the evidence that we are from the earth is in our eyeballs. Like our eyes have to be continuously bathed in a salt bath, right? Just like the ocean. Even though our bodies don't even produce salt. Imagine that. We do not produce salt, yet we have all this salt in our bodies. In fact, our the salt is necessary for our cells to function at optimal levels. So we've got earth and we've got fire and we've got water, we've got air. Our lungs take in breath and give back an offering of carbon dioxide because that is air. So that is another one of our elements. So we are all the things. Earth, fire, water, air. Like we are not separate. We are part of the whole. And the universe, the universe contains all the things. And if we are of the universe and the universe is whole and complete and capable of being self-sustaining, how can we possibly be less than enough? Like it doesn't even make any sense. So the proof is reflected in the brilliance of this design. You cannot individuate from the whole. And on the cellular level, it's impossible because we are essentially, we have the illusion of being individuated, but our energy field permeates out well beyond this human body. There's like an energy field that we radiate and emit that surrounds us, permeating the environment because we are all part of the collective whole. So while we may look different, we act and feel different, but we're mostly the same. So I've got a question for you. Are you your sister's keeper? Are you? Well, the answer is no. No, you are not your sister's keeper. You are not your sister's keeper because you are your sister. You are your sister. And so while sisterhood is like this essential thing, like it's essential to a woman's well-being to be connected to other women because women's needs are distinct. And so there are things that only other women can understand, and that's the reason that sisterhood is so important. We understand our own complexities and our nuances. We desire to feel connected and fulfilled. We need to have expansive conversations about things that are most important to us. And even more than that, we need those conversations to feel engaging and reflective because sisters do that, right? We don't want to have monologues. We don't want to have monologues. We need to have dialogue, and we need to have dialogue like we need air to breathe. We need to feel safe. We need to feel safe enough to share our deepest truths. We desire to be seen. We desire to be heard. We desire to be understood. We crave connections that inspire us to be better. We need to be held and uplifted. And, women, we can do that for one another, because the truth is, it is difficult for a woman to be her most authentic self when she doesn't feel loved and supported by other women. That doesn't mean that you should connect with women all willy nilly. It doesn't mean that you need to make friends with just about anybody. But you just have to be discerning about your female friendships, just like you are your romantic relationships. You want to surround yourself with women that resonate with you. You want to feel sisterhood viscerally. You want to feel a yes in your pussy when it comes to a woman. So let me give you a quick story. So one of my great sister friends, like, she is like in my hold a titty tribe, because every woman needs a hold a titty tribe. She is one of the inaugural members of my hold a titty tribe. And not too long ago, she sent me a text message telling me that she's a major manifester. Like, she thinks a thought and shit just seems to materialize. Like, that's how potent and powerful she is. So anyway, she sends me this text message telling me that she had, manifested some big money in her life. And I was so excited. I was so excited that I felt that shit in my pussy. Like, I mean, like, I could feel it viscerally. Like, if I couldn't really, my body experienced her win as if it had happened to me. Like, that's sisterhood, because sisterhood is this mutually beneficial situation. She wins, you win. That's what sisterhood is like. And again, every woman needs a hold a titty tribe. And that's the reason that I've decided to reopen my community, the Sense and Sexability Society. I closed the community last year. It used to be housed on Facebook. It was a Facebook group, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful community. It was supportive, and there was so much transparency and so much love, and everyone felt like they could share. Um, it was just great. So imagine if you could be a part of a community where you could talk about anything. Imagine that. Like, that's what the Sense and Sexability Society is. And I am reopening it, different platform, different energy, new thing. And everything is welcome. Everything is welcome. There is nothing that is off limits. We are going to be talking about relationships and intimacy. We're going to be exploring money and sensuality and sex and love and boundaries. We're going to talk about consent and kink and communication. We're going to talk about healing and wounds and self love and motherhood and spirituality and creativity. We'll explore the different kinds of relationships. We'll talk about monogamy and polyamory and non monogamy. Like, there are just so many things. Everything is going to be welcome. We're going to explore life. We are going to explore life and everything in it. It's going to be the most beautiful thing ever. And what do you get inside the community? And I want to stress that this is not a program. This is a real sisterhood, a real community. And we will have roundtable chats. So every month we'll talk about what's going on. So we'll Zoom together and we'll talk about the hot topics, and in our everything is welcome conversations, we'll explore life, love, and all the sexy stuff. We're going to get real time support and accountability in a shame free environment. That means you get to come to the call with your dirtiest shit. Anything that you feel like might make other people cringe, everything is welcome in this community. There is nothing that is off limits. Whatever is you is welcome. Period. Like, without question. So we'll be having live chats where we talk, where we're just able to, like, have sister friend chats about whatever the fuck is going on in your life. We'll be able to share. You'll be able to get feedback from the other ladies in the community. Maybe you need to run some shit by someone. Maybe you need to get something off your chest. Maybe you are feeling conflicted or confused about something. You need to help. You need help and reassurance around boundary setting. Whatever you need, whatever you want to discuss, we are going to be here for it. We're also going to have some sister friend specialists. So once a month, our presence will be graced by a sister friend who will share her experience and expertise so that we can continue to learn, grow, and evolve together. And the specialist sessions will be recorded and archived, so you'll be able to access them ongoing. And I'm talking about, we'll be bringing people in to talk about sexuality. We'll be bringing people in to talk about their experiences with polyamory. If you're curious about that, we'll be exploring dating, because dating is a big deal. And we'll also be talking talking about how to navigate the waters of long-term relationships, particularly if you've been in a relationship for a long time and you're in that phase where it starts to feel like you're fizzling out. Like, you know what I'm talking about. We are going to have people come in and talk about manifestation and how to invite in what we want. We'll have people talk about business because I know a lot of you are business owners or curious about starting a business. And sometimes we need to have some kind of insight and accountability. And, we need to learn some stuff that we maybe didn't know before. So we'll have people talking about that. And not just about like the business systems and that kind of thing, but all of the other extra shit that comes with owning a business, having the kind of support you need to keep your business afloat, not just like in terms of like having a virtual assistant, but what kind of emotional support do you need to be a business owner? Like those kinds of things are important. And I want to make sure that this community is the kind of environment where we can support one another in every phase of our lives. There will also be really promoting local connections in the community. You'll be able to connect with women in your area because I like virtual stuff and this is a virtual community, but taking your community offline in your real life is really important. So I want to make sure that you are able to connect with women in your own area so that you guys can get together for happy hour, or maybe you'll get together at a co-working space and work together for the day, or have like tea time, or have, wine glasses or brunch or whatever, like whatever you want to do, just to shoot the shit offline in real time where you can hug and touch one another because touch is important. But so I want to make sure to promote local connections. I will also be hosting small local events, in my own area. And I'll also host events in other areas when I travel. So I want to make sure that the community it's a virtual space where we can commune, but I also want to make sure that we are connecting with one another in our real offline lives too, because we are three-dimensional beings, and touch and feel and sensation and energy is a very, very important part of the human experience. So I wanted to make sure that we built that into the community. And wait, there's more. You will also have access to sexy resources and ever expanding library of tools, tips, tricks to help you get through this thing called life. I am a reader, so I've read a whole bunch of books. I'll be constantly sharing books with you. I'm also going to give the community access to any things that I've created in my business otherwise. So I'm still setting that part up, but I've got some really great, worksheets and things to help you kind of navigate this whole life thing. And that'll be an ever expanding, and we'll also be making it possible for other people to share resources also, because this is not about me. This community is about you. And so if you've got some shit that'll help the rest of us, by all means, I want to make sure that everyone has access to it if you're willing to share. And of course, you will have access to community chatter. You got shit to say. You deserve to be heard. We got your back. Shame-free conversations happening all day, every day, because that's how we roll. And you'll also get first dibs and discounts. So first dibs on events and retreats on and offline. I have a retreat coming up, and I'm not sure the date yet. It's going to be delicious, and you guys will be the first to be invited to that before I actually offer it to the public at large. And so some of the discounts that'll be available will be community only discounts where other people won't be privy to those discounts, because you're special, like you are special and more than enough. So the Sense and Sexability Society I'm excited. I'm excited. The reason that I closed it before was that energetically I couldn't bring it into being the way that I imagined it to be. And so I had to close it and reimagine it, because what I saw for it initially was so much bigger than what could be accommodated in a free Facebook group. So the Sense and Sexability Society is going to be a paid community, but it's nominal. For you can join the community for $9.99 a month. Like that's that's 2 cups of Starbucks, right? $9.99 a month. And if you pay annually, you get 2 months free. So If you pay annually, you pay $99 for the year and you'll get 2 months free. So that's a deal. And if you want to join the community, don't sleep. The doors to the Sense and Sexability Society are open for a limited time. So you will need to join. It's not gonna be one of those, always available kind of things. I will open the community doors, a couple of times a year to bring in new people, but this is going to be open for a limited time. So you can join here at staceyherrera.com/community. The doors will be closing on March 31st. So you've got a couple of weeks, but don't wait until the last minute. $10 is a really inexpensive cost for something that is going to be so enriching for your life. I'm going to pour everything I have into this community. Because I need community and sisterhood just as much as you do, and I know what a big role that it plays in my life. And I've been in some communities that have been very useful to me, but there was always something that I felt like I couldn't get. And one of the pieces was, if I'm honest, like sex, like, there are not a lot of communities that talk really openly and freely about sexual experiences. And that is something that a lot of women need to discuss. We have things going on. Like, I had a conversation just last night, and I was talking with one of my girlfriends about, and she was telling me a story about like being so attracted to this person she was seeing, and having so much sex and having such a constant state of arousal that after she would orgasm, she'd need to orgasm again, just because the arousal would be so heightened that it was uncomfortable. She was able to share that story with me, and I knew what she was talking about because I've had the same experience before. But that's not something that a lot of people are able to share. So if she didn't know any better, it would have been easy for her to think that maybe something was wrong with her. Like, what's wrong with my vagina that it won't turn off, right? And but she has a community of sisters that she's able to talk to. We all need to have the kind of sisters that we can be fully transparent with. I've got girlfriends that are able to text me pictures of their vaginas when something is not feeling right. They like, look at this, or here's, like, look at this discharge. Is this normal? Because everything is welcome. This community will be that kind of community. Nothing is gross. If it's happening to you and happening in your life, then it is welcome, because we all need to be held and supported through everything and not judged about things, especially biological things. Like, come on, if it comes out of your body, it's completely natural. So I invite you to join the Sense and Sexability Society. I am really, really excited about it. And I know that it's going to be everything I imagine it to be and more. And some things will grow, will grow new things. So this is my vision for it right now, but I know that it's going to get bigger. I am really looking forward to connecting with women on and offline for these juicy conversations. So, all we have to do, in closing, I want to remind you, all we have to do is forgive ourselves wholly and completely for ever thinking that we are not good enough. Like, that's our job, is to remind ourselves that we came here full and worthy. And that has never changed. The only thing that needs to change is the story. So, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you got some good, meaty, juicy takeaways from this class. And I hope that you are going to join the community, because I'd love to get to know you better. And if you have any questions about the material I covered, or if you have any questions about the Sense and Sexability Society, feel free to contact me by email at stacey@staceyherrera.com. I am happy to respond to your questions. If you've got Q's, I've got A's. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to come out of my screen now and pop back over so that you can see my face and I can say goodbye to you in real time. Here I am. Here I am. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you. And I am super excited about the fact that you are going to be shedding your not enough story, and that you are going to stand in the truth that you are worthy of love and worthy of your desires. As Danielle Laporte says, feeling good is the primary intention. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.